Hello everyone and welcome to Day 2 Exclusive. And I get the honor and privilege of sitting down with a man that has written so many gospel songs, so many of what many of you would know. When I think of the group The Hoppers, I think you can really divide the Hoppers, many of their songs, into about 3 or 4 categories. You can divide them between, of course, Phil and Carolyn Cross, and a lot of their past music, Michael Wilson, a lot of his songs, Paula Stavanovich, and a lot of what she's done with Hoppers, and then this man, Mr. Bill Burns, and a lot of what he's written for the Hoppers over the years. It's been tremendous. And so many of his songs I've been blessed by myself, and I know many of you probably have been so blessed. And today I get the honor and privilege of sitting down and talking with him, Mr. Bill Burns, everyone. Well, let's get started here, and I want to find out some about you and a few things about your songs. Now tell us just a little bit of where were you born?
Right here. I was born on the 2nd floor of the building up by the traffic light, and the light was green.
It was time to go, so.
That's right.
Now, growing up, what were some big influences on you as a singer/songwriter?
Probably the biggest one was the Statesman Quartet, the Oak Ridge, and the Blackwood Brothers, and all that.
Oh wow!
I went to the first concert with them to hear them, and I went for another reason. I went so I could sit by a little girl. I was only 14. And I thought I could sit by her, you know, and ride by her and all. But when I heard Jake Hess say "Something Within Me," he sang "Something Within Me," I forgot all about her.
I guess that's a good way to do Southern gospel music.
They really made an impression on me, and I came home, and I've been singing ever since. That's 1958.
Oh wow, tremendous! "Something Within Me." Oh wow.
You remember that?
I remember the song.
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact moment, but I remember the song. Tremendous. Now, how did you really begin to start songwriting?
I only wrote a couple of songs when I was in high school, after I started singing, after being impressed by those quartets.
Okay.
And I wrote only a couple songs back then.
Oh wow.
And I was down in Alabama with a group called the Perkins Family, doing some programs with them on the same stage, and they kept trying to get me to go to see their record company and talk to them, and so I did, and it all started back in 1992.
Wow. And
I've been pretty busy ever since.
Now, exactly what happened in 1992?
Well, after the Perkins family had me go talk to the record company, I took 5 songs up there, and they turned them all down.
Wow.
3 of them were in the top 10 after that with somebody else. But anyway, they didn't take any of them. But I had a tape in my pocket that I had just recorded for my daughter, who was starting to sing.
Oh wow.
And she sung "That's Him." And I said I didn't want to waste the trip, so I asked their A&R man, I said, "I want you to listen to my daughter sing and see what you think." And so they played it, and he got up and went and got the president of the record company and came back, and he said, I thought, boy, I did the right thing, because he likes her singing, and he did. He still does to this day. But what happened was that song, "That's Him," they immediately had it aimed at the Hoppers.
So they're the ones that aimed that towards the Hoppers?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they did, and it didn't have I only had 2 verses at that time, and they said they really liked it, but they thought it ought to have something to do with the coming of the Lord or something. So I go over to Gary Paxton's studio, because we write songs together. We did for years.
Oh wow.
And went over there, and when we got through with the song we were doing, I said, "Gary, I need to book the studio to do something on. I've got a song that I need to add another verse to. He said, well, let's just do it right now. I said, I haven't written it yet. And he said, well, we'll just do what you do know and what you do have, and then you can finish it up later. And so he did, and we got to the third verse, and I told him just keep going, and the words came out right then, and said,
wow.
There'll be two at work in a field one day. One will be left and the other caught away. One will fall to his knees. Oh, it's too late, he'll say, because that's him.
Wow.
With 1 foot on the sea and one on the shore. Anyway.
He's declaring time will be no more.
Yeah, right. You know it better than me. But anyway, the Hoppers liked that, and everything was history, and it went from there to The Cry of His Child, and they did 12 altogether.
Wow. So the very first song that the Hoppers actually recorded was That's Him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, was that around 1992?
That's
year?
When they recorded that one. It was up for Song of the Year at the Quartet Convention that year.
Oh, wow.
It didn't make it, but it
got in the top 10, so
yeah.
Hey, that's tremendous, very. Now, I heard you wrote the song The Lord Still Lives in This Old House,
yes,
that J.D. Sumner sang. Now, I heard you wrote that predominantly for J.D. Sumner.
Yes.
What prompted that?
Well, of course, I told you I like the Blackwoods and Statesman and all that. And my whole life, all I've heard people say about J.D., well, he's not really a Christian, and he's not really. And I heard him sing, and I heard him pour his heart out singing for the Lord. And I thought, who are they to say something like that? And so it came to me, those words, all about him, about the Lord still lives in this old house. And anyway, Gary Paxton, I took it to him first, and he knew one of his backup singers that we used in our productions we did. One of his backup singers had been married to the lead singer of J.D.'s new quartet, The Stamps.
Oh, wow.
And so she took it to him, and he did it. He sang it at the quartet convention. And at that point in time, they had traffic light on the stage, and to keep them from going overtime.
Right. They still do.
Do they?
Well, maybe not a traffic light, but they still have the timer down there.
Well, anyway, this was more effective because the light was green, and when it started turning yellow, that means wind it down, because if it goes red, every minute is $100, and so fine, like they called it. So anyway, he did it, and he had to do it over and over and over. And he went way over.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much he went over, but anyway, I'm sitting out there in the audience, and I'm overwhelmed by it. I had no idea
that he would. Wow.
It was like it was meant for him, and at least I had a little part in showing not everybody what they seem.
That's true.
And especially him.
That's true. I've heard people say for years, my grandfather, of course, predominantly his favorite verse was "Judge not, lest ye be not judged."
Yeah.
And it's true. Only God's the final judge. Trying to do that yourself is a burden that no one should carry. So something that no one should do.
Exactly.
But God is truly the final judge. Now, out of all the songs that you have written, how many do you say you've written?
I have not counted them. It would probably be 300 or 400.
Wow.
And which is nothing compared to other writers like Dottie Rambo, who did 2,000.
Yes. But still, in the hundreds is amazing. That many.
But I have probably lost a lot of them that I'd wake up in the night and they come to me, and I thought, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to go down and do, and then I couldn't get the feel of it back, and but sometimes they found their way back. But
okay. Now, out of all of those songs, do you have a certain distinctive song or songs plural that you really feel is more distinctive, or maybe possibly one of your favorites?
well, actually, the newest things that I do are more that way to me. That's what drives me to write them, is because it's either something that needs to be said, or all music either comes from the heart or from the attitude.
That's true.
And if it comes from the attitude, it's usually to stick your tongue out at the world, or even God sometimes, which usually falls in the line of secular music. But the fact is that if it comes from the heart, that's really something. And so I don't know, some of the latest one of the I haven't even released this one. I've recorded it, but it hasn't been released yet, and it's called watch me forget the title of it. It's called All in All.
Oh, wow.
And to me, it means more to me. It really came out of my gut, more than even the heart. Of course,
Right.
that's where the good stuff in the heart is down here.
Out of your belly shall flow
Yes.
rivers of living water.
And that's what that
yes.
means too.
Yes.
But it starts off. It says, in the morning, in the evening, even over in the midnight hour, in the fourth watch of the nighttime, Christ reveals His grace and power. Then the other verse says, even in the time of suffering, that's hardly worth the mentioning, because it can't measure up to the glory Christ will reveal in the redeemed.
Oh, wow.
And then the chorus is, all in all, I choose to serve Him and be at His beck and call. All in all, I choose to follow Him, because Jesus is my all in all.
I feel like we're getting a preview of a new song, so this is amazing.
Well,
Who knows where it may end up?
yeah, but it's usually one of the new babies that's dearest to me.
Wow.
And when you get to be
Almost like a child.
yeah,
Almost.
yeah, and when you get to be a grandfather age, then the grandkids are really something.
Oh, wow.
You don't think they can do anything wrong and all that, but those are the ones that are the dearest to me, and I'm actually working on some that are nothing but titles now.
Wow.
That somebody said, what's the best song you ever wrote? And I say, I haven't written it yet.
Oh, that's true. Well, I look forward to hearing it. You never know.
I'll give you something to listen to before you leave.
Oh, well, thank you. That'll be a blessing. Now, I heard you lived in Nashville, Tennessee for a period of time.
When I had just moved to Nashville about the time that it all started with That's Him. And I lived there about 10 years during the 90s. And I came back here because my parents had reached an age where they were going to need help. They're 90 now.
Oh, wow.
And besides that, my house back here was paid for.
That's a good
I had an office
consideration.
in Nashville, and when I came back here, now I got this, and it's all so much more practical.
Right.
And now with the technology, it doesn't matter where you live.
That's true.
See, I actually live in Nashville because
Because?
probably some tidbits of this will show up somewhere.
That's true. You never know.
Yeah, but people don't care about that anymore. And I didn't either, so.
So then you moved. You were born in Eufaula, moved to Nashville. Now you're back in Eufaula.
I have lived some other places because when I got out of Bible college, I started traveling with the school group, and we spent a whole year in Oregon, and then I spent some time in Texas because after being inspired by the quartets, I had to have a quartet. And so I started what was called the King Sons Quartet with two of my brothers and with someone here that sang the bass. And when my brother, who was the first tenor and the piano player, was about to knock me out of a job playing the piano, because I played and sang, he died a drowning death in this new lake when it was first built. And it took me a while to get back to doing the quartet. So I went back and got one of these guys that was in the other group in college and picked up some, and we started singing. We got us a bus and we sang for about a year, and then we all had to get real jobs because we started getting married. And so we didn't see each other for 38 years. And about 6 years ago, I got a phone call from the first tenor singer that was singing with us. And he said, "What are you doing these days?" I told him. I said, "Hey, I'm going to be at a church down in Arkansas." I said, "Why don't you come down and bring some tracks and sing some songs? We'll put you up there and have you sing." And I said, "Where's Tommy?" He said, "Well, we married sisters, and Tommy's actually here in town." I said, "See if he'll come." And so they did, both of them. And when we got there, it was inevitable that we were going to get up there and sing one of our old songs. And we sang a bunch of them. And when I started to go back down to sit down, Tommy was the lead singer. He was sitting over with his head down. I said, "What's the matter, Tommy?" He said, "We want our group back." So occasionally, 2 or 3 times a year, we still sing today after that 38 year, and still singing the same songs that we learned back 38 years ago.
Wow. It's like they say, the song never dies.
No.
Oh, no.
No, but anyway, it was a wonderful thing.
So you travel and minister a variety of places, from what I hear.
Yes.
Okay. Now, where all do you really travel as far as for radius?
When I was living in Nashville, I started some things that I still go and do to this day. It might have been Detroit, Michigan, Atlanta, Georgia, or Fort Worth, Texas, and since I moved back here, I still do some of that. But what I do now is mostly ministering in churches, and then we have a program here about once a month that I do that. But I'm singing as a soloist, which mainly the quartet was something I really wanted to do, but it's almost impossible to keep it going for very long. Just watch how the other guys change up members.
Oh yes.
And so.
Well, that and it costs so tremendously anymore. To try to come in, especially unless you're doing just small local dates.
Yeah.
Especially to travel.
Yeah. But my heart's really in it. But I probably would be singing with the quartet all the time if we could do it.
Right.
And it's just hard to do.
So I've heard, I got on and tried to do a little bit of research because I had a friend that actually recommended your name, and I kind of told you the story behind the scenes. And when I began to look and saw you were in Eufaula, I began to try to do as much research as I could. I knew your songs, but I really didn't know much about you. There's not a lot out there. So I feel like at the same time that there's so much that I don't know that I'm learning today. But one thing I found is you were involved in prison ministry there for a while.
Well, I did it for a while, and I won't go into it, but it got to where it's very difficult to get in anymore.
Oh, wow.
And because of
So much regulation.
It was like they would say, if we'd have to let everybody of all religions come and do it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I still do sometimes, but not like I used to.
Right. So are you involved in a church presently?
I'm a member of the First Assembly of God Church here in Eufaula.
Okay.
But I'm not there all the time. I never know when someone's going to call me, and I'm going to head out and go sing for them somewhere.
Right.